Good morning to one and all. Today we will discuss about these geotechnical examples for these ground improvement techniques. In the previous class, we discussed about different kinds of rollers. That means five rollers and their types and the different kinds of modification. These are the different kinds of roller: flat tire roller, smooth wheeled roller, sheep foot roller, and other vibratory rollers. After that, we observed this hydraulic modification of the particular ground surface by using different kinds of principles. And next, physical and chemical modifications. That means these are different kinds of soils we are having physically on the particular total surface of the particular land. And the next one, we observe used some kinds of chemicals like lime and cement and other calcareous materials as a cement chemical materials. And these are the different fibers and other reinforcing materials to strengthen the particular soil strata. These three are the conditions: suitability, feasibility, and desirability. Means whichever materials is suitable and what is the feasible cost and what is the sustainability limits. Those comes under those. These are the activities and additive properties and their natures. Means how much amount of material is required, how much amount we have to reuse. All those comes under these governance factors. After that, a particular structure is were analyzed from a bottom to top level. What are the conditions we need to take down whenever there is a repair and any other modification has to take for a particular structure. Next one, today we have to discuss these environmental parameters and some sort of examples for particular modification method. That means environmental geotechniques are examples of desirable ground modification activities within the framework by using these principles of geotechnical. First of all, we are having is a constructive use of necessary modification of waste materials. That means whatever the waste material is coming from the particular structure. That means we are having a apartment. Normally apartments having 60 to 70 years of lifespan. After the lifespan completely, we need to demolish the apartment and we have to reconstruct a new one. After the demolishing, we are having a huge amount of scrap. That means normally in a software industries we are having e-scrap, like our construction industries we are having this structural scrap. That means whatever the materials which are used in the construction field, those are after the demolition we need to reuse for different purposes like filling purpose. And next we have to use for a partition walls purpose and others. All those are comes under this construction of and reuse of waste materials which are coming from the demolition of the particular building. Next one, prevention of subsidence due to mining. That means mining means not this related to coal and other chemical materials. This is entirely related to our sand. That means sand is mining from the river beds and others. Next one, we are mining the coarse aggregate from the huge amount of hills and others, so that due to those minings we are not having some sort of physical features. After few years, the total physical features will be disappeared due to this excessive kind of minings. For that, we need to stop some sort of mining by using these reusable materials which are coming from the construction scraps and others. Next point we are having is the prevention of the quality and flow patterns of the groundwater. That means prevention of quality and flow patterns of groundwater means whenever we go by digging these materials for suppose we are having a huge amount of structures as a binding material as cement. That means in a lot of the structures we are using binding material as cement. For the preparation of the cement we need is lime and calcareous materials, siliceous materials and argillaceous materials. Those are available in the sublayers of the earth. So that for getting the lime and cement, we need to do these mining activities below the layers of the earth. So that due to those mining activities, the total quality of the groundwater and some cases we are having these folds and faults also disturbance. So that we need to stop some sort of this work to prevent the upcoming features. That means upcoming features they have to see some amount of these parameters of the nature, so that we have to use some sort of waste material for the construction purpose also. Next one we are having is the containment and constructive use of waste material. That means containment means we need to have some containment of waste materials and constructive use of this waste material. Whatever the waste materials we are using, that means industries we are having fly ash and GGBS and like other different kinds of waste we are obtaining in our daily utilities, so that those wastes are used in the filling purposes and some sort of binding materials. In some cases they are using as fibers, like whatever the material it may be, we need to use according to their physical properties and chemical properties. Okay, this is the main theme for this containment and constructive use of waste materials. First one we are having is a ground modification technique are also increasingly being applied by the rehabilitation of hazardous waste disposal areas by increasing the concern. Environmentally conscious engineers is a constructive use of high energy waste materials such as slag and fly ash. That means these ground modification techniques in some of the areas we are having these granular soils and other silty soils, clayey soils, sandy soils. For those different kinds of soils we are having less bearing capacities, so that for the construction purpose we are completely demolishing the layer up to foundation level. After the demolishing the after total soil, we need to fill it with another material. That means another material which having good soil properties, so that for those purposes we need to use these constructive materials as a filling materials in many projects, so that the lot of waste can be reused. But that is the main point. Next one we are having is the part of this concern arises from the estimated increase in the ash production in the years to come. That means in the future years we don't have to use this coal. Why? Because nowadays we are observing in a lot of countries they are directly using this solar power as a, that means solar power for the generation of these normal currents and others, so that after 10 to 20 years there may be complete lockdown for the thermal power plants and other. Normally we are using the solar power and wind power and next one water power for the generation of this electricity and others, so that we have to eliminate those fly ash and others. Next one we are having in US, it has been predicted that the next century coal burning will be produced 200 million tons of ash per year. That means in the next century means 10 years. After next 10 years coal burning will produce. That means the thermal power plants, major thermal power plants, all steel power plant, steel industries, whatever industries may be, they are simply producing different kinds of human utilities by burning this coal as base material for the production of heat, to burn those and those melt those and felt those, so that in the year 10 years they have a 200 million tons. That means million means 10 lakhs and like that, 200 into 10 lakhs tons of this ash for each year. So that we have to estimate how much material we need to have to burn for the production of this electricity and other industrial purposes, so that we have to use these naturally occurring materials like the solar powers, wind powers and tidal energy which is coming from the oceanics and others, so that by utilizing this proper kind we need to eliminate these two waste materials which are dumping on the earth level, so that automatically they will cause a lot of disturbance to the ecosystem and flora and fauna which are living on the earth systems. Next one we are having is the fly ash could be used as a structural fill on its own or in combination with lime or cement as a stabilizing agent for the road bases. First point we are having is the structural fill on its own. That means structural filling means in a foundation we are using a huge amount of waste materials like these industrial waste. One of the industrial waste we are using is the stone dust. Stone dust is also one of the industrial waste because in the mining process of the stone we are getting the stone dust as a waste material in the field of these mining, so that we need to eliminate these stone dust by using these different kinds of materials which are waste to the particular industries. Fly ash is mainly using the structural filling materials. Normally we are using this fly ash for the preparation of these bricks and others. Likely we need to have some more utilities by this fly ash as a base material or glue material, that means binding material in place of cement and others. Next one we are having in the combination with lime and cement is also covered, that means as a binding material in the combination of lime, it means lime means CaO, and cement. In the place of lime and cement both we need to use approximately 30 to 40% of this fly ash. Next one we are having is the stabilizing agent for the road bases. That means stabilizing means stabilizes some kinds of voids. Simply fly ash having some micro nature, that means particles having some micro nature, so that whenever we are using this fly ash as a road filling material, automatically the voids which are present between these soil particles and aggregate particles will be filled up by using this fly ash, so that we need to have some sort of voids filling capacity. Next one, densification methods in the granular soils. That means this is the entirely new topic. That means in the previously itself we are seeing different densification methods by using densification equipments, rollers and stabilization techniques. But this is the another topic related to granular soil. Already we studied this granular soils, silty soils, clay soils, depending upon their particle sizes, how they are varying, how much amounts of voids they are having. But here we are observing is the densification methods related to this granular soil. What are the measures we have to use, particularly in case of these granular soils? Whenever there is a construction practice on this particular granular soils, what techniques we need to have with cheap construction and cheap cost of construction. First one is the method of densifying in situ sandy soils using deep vibro was first developed by Germany over 60 years ago. That means 60 years ago means in the 1960 itself, means 1960 up to 2000 we are having 40 or 20. 60 years ago means in the 1960 the Germans developed this vibro flotation to densify these granular soils. Since this technique was extended to improve wide range from the soil types up to 30 stories, that means 30-story buildings normally having a huge amount of foundation. For those 30 stories building we are using these raft foundation. For normal kind of buildings we are using a simply isolated foundation, that means for each and every column we need to maintain a separate foundation. For in case of this raft foundation, the total a slab like material are used as a foundation to withstand the total structure without any irregularities and eccentricities between the each and every column, so that we need to have some same slab like foundation, so that there may be no irregularities and eccentricities. That is the main theme of this slab. Next one we are having is the need of Need of densification of granular soil. What is the need? That means normally we are constructing a small scale of buildings with the help of smaller scale of footings. But whenever we go to high rise buildings, definitely we go for these densification methods. Why? Because if there is no densification means automatically there will be swelling and shrinkage due to entrainment of water and other liquid substances into the below layers of the soil in particularly different seasons, so that automatically there may be some inequalities. That means inequalities means one footing will stand on a particular place, another footing will shrinks due to these liquefations and other techniques, so that the total building will have some eccentrical balance on the particular base level, so that there may be a disturbance or cracks lies in the beams and other slabs due to this settling of the particular footings and others. First one we are having is the reclamation of new land with hydraulic fill results a loose profile of granular soil mass. That means loose profile means there is a no bonding between the particular soil particles. That is called it as a loose material. In the loose material itself there is no proper density and proper fractions and others. The loose granular soil will contribute to high elastic immediate settlement as well as liquefaction will be applied due to these dynamic forces. That means dynamic forces means with respect to velocity and movement, these dynamic forces will produces. That means with respect to velocity and other things, these dynamic forces, that means when within a building we are having a different movements in a different stories itself, so that there may be a chance of production of these dynamic velocities and movements in a single story of the building or multi stories of the building, so that definitely there will be a dynamic forces introduction to the different levels, so that all those forces will have to settle in the bottom layer itself. That means the forces which are coming from the slab or any other top structure will have to bear by the soil, so that the soil has to stay as strong as possible, otherwise these settlements will occur. The total structure will have to maintain different kinds of these cracks and other settlings. That is the first point, main meanings. Next we are having, in addition to bearing capacity, the granular foundation is mainly depends upon the shear characteristics such as friction angle of the soil. That means frictional properties. If the frictional properties are very much high, automatically there may be a huge amount of bonding between the this foundation and below the layer of the soil. If the friction is very low, automatically there may be some sliding forces will occur between the layers of the soil and layers of the foundation and soil, foundation and the soil particles. Automatically there may be a chance of shear forces and frictional failures occurring on the surfaces. The compressibility is turned to depend upon the elastic modulus of the soil also. That means E value, elastic modulus of the particular soil, it may be varies from the soil to soil depending upon this particle size and their chemical properties, so that we need to focus on mainly these shear characteristics and frictional properties and elastic modulus of the particular soil. All those can influence the soil bearing capacity. In some of the cases the soil bearing capacity is very low, we need to use some sort of extra soils which are can be brought from the another places, and we need to fill it on the particular place where our structure is locating, so that we need to have some sort of extra bearing strength and frictional properties to the structure itself. Next we are having to increase the friction and the elastic modulus of the granular soil, it is improved by densification method. That means whatever the points we discussed are the in the previous one itself we discussed that we need to improve the soil properties like friction and elastic modulus to improve the densification methods. That means densification means the voids between the particular soil strata will be decreases by these densification methods. By using these rollers or any other physical methods or chemical methods, we need to have some sort of densification techniques to increase the properties of the particular soil. And sometimes we have to use this landfill, that means land which was having too much of good properties, those lands also dredged from one place and they are carried from one place to another place by using these tractors and other vehicles, and they have to fill on a particular soil where we have to need a good quality of construction in particularly granular soils itself. Masses can be densified by roller compaction within a certain lift and specified moisture. That means mass can be densified. Mass means a particular quantity of matter is densified by the roller compaction. That means the particular amount of mass can be densified, means the voids will be decreases due to this movement of rollers on those particular areas. Due to frequent vibrations and others will be occurring due to the movement of these rollers, automatically compaction will take place. Due to this compaction, the voids will be decreases automatically. There may be a chance of increasing the bearing strength and frictions between the particles. This is the main theme for the need of this densification in granular soils. Next we are having is the, however, for existing land, the land is reclaimed by hydraulic filling. Such method may not be feasible, and hence one has to rely on deep compaction methods. That means in some cases we need to do hydraulic filling. Whatever the voids present in the particular soil, those voids we have to fill with these hydraulic methods. That means if there is some up to some level only, these hydraulic methods are preferable. Beyond the level means there may be definitely soil strata will be definitely affected due to this entrainment of excessive amount of water. Up to somewhat some 5% or 10%, below 10%, we need to use this entrainment of water by hydraulic filling. Automatically due to this filling of water, the voids will firstly filled by after with water. Due to the filling of water, there may be some binding properties will be formed between the soil particles. Due to those binding properties, and after the binding properties, all the soil particles get together, and there may be some chance of avoiding voids due to this hydraulic filling. Such method may not be feasible, and hence one has to rely on deep compaction method. That means such methods means in the hydraulic method is not suitable in all conditions. We need to go for better deep compaction methods for getting good strength of the particular land. Before carrying out deep compactions, the first thing that needs to be done is to ensure that the type of soil is densifiable with the deep compaction method. That means the type of soil is what type of soil is located on the particular land and what method is suitable for the particular densification in that area. That should be carried out by different analyses. Next, generally granular soil with less than 10% of the fine can be densified with this method. That means granular soil which is having a particle size less than 10% of fines. That means if we take a kg material, in those kg materials we know the particle matter, that means the finest particles will not exceed 100 grams. If the 100 grams exceeds, that means automatically these methods are not suitable. We need to go for another alternative method for the construction of the building. Next, we are having, there are few methods for deep compaction. Deep compaction means we need to go for a compaction with a large depth. In this deep compaction we are having is the dynamic compaction, vibroflotation and compaction files. These are the three methods which are useful for the deep compaction of the soil. In those, first one we are having is the dynamic compaction. Dynamic means a moving load with a huge amount of dynamic forces applying at a particular point. These methods are most commonly used in the densification of granular soils. Okay, what are those three methods? What are the equipments we are using on those particular three methods? We need to observe in the future coming slides. First of all, we need to take some data regarding these vibro flotations. That means vibro flotations, compactions, and dynamic compactions. First one we are having is the before carrying out the deep compaction works, the extent of densification is required must first be decided. That means whenever we start a particular work, we need to have some proper data. What is the soil strata, up to which strata we are having this granular material, so that up to which depth we need to dig the material and we need to densify the material. All those comes under this before carrying a compaction. Next thing is required degree of densification is based on the bearing capacity and tolerant settlement of the soil. That means bearing capacity. For designing any structure, we need to know the particular soil bearing capacity by using this CBR test. That means the California bearing ratio test. We are normally using in our GTE1, geotechnical engineering one. We are having this CBR test. By using this CBR test, we will have to find this CBR soil bearing capacity value, so that we need to have some sort of data for how much amount of densification is needed. First of all, we are having the dynamic compaction. What is the dynamic compaction? What are the equipments we are using in the particular dynamic compaction? This technique involves repeatedly dropping a large weight from a particular crane. This is a example for the dynamic compaction. In this particular example, we are having a crane like equipment with some truss. Okay, after that we are having a W amount of weight is lifting upwards, and after that lifting simply dropping downwards with a sudden freedom. The weight will have some sort of pressure will be created on the particular soil strata. By using these arrows is the indication for which direction the pressure will moves on, up to which depth the pressure will moves on. In the beside itself we are having some soil strata with notating some D, and up level we are having H. That means H means from which height the mass will be lifting and dropping, and depth is D is the depth of foundation, not the depth of foundation. D is the up to which depth the densification is occurring due to this dropping down of particular weight. Okay, this is the notation. We need to have some sort of data by studying these points. The weight may ranges from 6 to 172 tons. That means the W value is ranges from 6 to 172 tons. That means the minimum value is 6 tons and the maximum value is 172 tons. That is the main points. Next one we are having is drop height typically varies from 10 meters to 40 meters. That means 10 meters means nearly 33 feet and 40 meters means nearly 150 feet. That way ranges from 33 feet to 150 feet. Degree of densification achieved by this function of energy input as well as saturation levels, fines content and permeability of the material. That means by continuously dropping these kind of materials, we need to achieve some sort of functions. What are those? Is that the energy weight by dropping as well as saturation level, fines content and permeability of the materials. We need to achieve some sort of saturation level. That means some kind of saturation level up to for a particular value. Next one, we definitely decreases the fines content in the particular matter, and permeability of the material content will be decreases due to increase in the density by dropping the particular weight on the land. Next we are having is this automatically this method was done systematically in a rectangular or triangular pattern, so that phases, each phase can have number of passes, primary, secondary and tertiary. First of all, we need to understand that the total length of the area. It is the total area we are having. This area we need to have some sort of classifications. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we are having total number of 12 classifications. 1, 2, 3, 4, like we are having 12 classifications. For each classification, that means for one part, we need to have some sort of droppings. So due to those droppings, we are having some sort of freedom on that particular area. Likely we need to do on each and every part, so that we need to have some sort of classification in the shapes of rectangular or triangular or circular patterns we need to do. This is the pattern. Okay, this is the particular pattern. Primary pass, secondary pass. That means after each passing we need to use some sort of freedom. Means we are having dotted portion and circular portion here. The dotted portion is the compacted portion. After that we need to give some sort of free space of minimum 3 meters. After that we have to do this compaction process. Likely our total area will be, we need to classify into number of triangles or rectangles depending upon our shape of the land we are constructing. So that we need to do this kind of regular imageable patterns. After the compaction, the total land will looks like this. This is the compaction after the dropping of load from a particular height. It may be ranges from 10 to 40 feet. The dropping height will be ranges from 10 to 40 feet, and the dropping value is the 6 to 172 tons. This is the major things. What is the spacing between the impact points depends upon, first of all, depth of the compressible layer. That means this is the depth of the compressible layer. If depth is very low, that means we need to do with a huge amount of gaps. If depth is very high, that means we have to use some sort of regular intervals with less span of breaking times. Next one is the permeability of the soil. Permeability means if the permeability is high, we need to have high number of blowings. If the permeability is less, we need to have short number of these blowings. Next one, location of the groundwater level. That means before going to do any project on the particular land, we need to have some data related to this groundwater level. That means whenever we have to dig a particular bore on the particular soil, we have to reuse these conditions. Means definitely there will be a impact on the groundwater level, because if the groundwater level is very much nearer to the particular surface, automatically the soil strata will disturbances due to the flowing of this groundwater nearer to the structure. If the groundwater is very far to the structure, means there is no problem to us, because the groundwater is very far up. That means there may be huge amount of gap between our foundation to the groundwater. There may be no chance to the entrainment of water, and this liquefaction will not occur due to far distance between the groundwater surface and our footing. These are the much factors we need to have. Next one, we are having deep layers are compacted at wider grid spacing. That means wider means we are having huge amount of gap. Normally in cricket we are using this term wide. That means there may be a lot of gap between our wickets to ball, so that we will be given it as a wide. Likely there may be for particular point to point we are having a wider grid spacing. That means huge amount of spacing we need to give. Next one we are having is the upper layers are compacted with closer grid spacing. That means upper layers, the total strata means layer by layer, we are calling it as a strata in terms of geotechnical parameters. The total strata will have to classify how many layers we have to give these blowings. For each and every blowing, how much amount of material will be compacted. All those data we have to do in a preliminary investigation. After the preliminary investigation is over, we need to go for this densification method. But means we have to do some sort of matter in the laboratory. In the laboratory, we need to give some amount of loadings. After giving the loadings, there may be a definitely settlement in the particular soil surface, so that we have this much of weight for this much of settlement, so that in the field itself we need to use this amount of tons of weights for this kind of settlement. All those can be studied in the laboratory itself. After the study is over, we need to go for field work. Deep craters are formed by tampering. That means deep craters. In the below diagram we have shown, these are the deep craters are formed by tampering. Craters may be filled with sand after each pass. That means crater means gap which is formed due to the blowing of weight. Those gap will be formed by sand after each pass. That means if we didn't fill any matter in the particular strata, automatically the soil will be passes into next field. There will be no value for this work, so that for each and every scatter we need to fill this gap with sand or any other material which having huge amount of properties. Hue around craters is generally small. That means hue means distance or any other compaction around the craters is generally small in nature. The types of dynamic compaction, up to that we are having this point load compaction. Different types of dynamic compactions we are having is the dynamic consolidations, and second one is the dynamic replacement, rotational dynamic compaction, rapid impact dynamic compaction. These are the different dynamic approaches for densifying the soil. First one is the consolidation, means normally consolidating a particular soil strata with the dynamic. Next one, dynamic replacement, means after the consolidation is over, we need to replace up to some level strata by another material. Next one, rotational dynamic compaction, and means the rotational means we need to do some sort of consolidation and some sort of replacement of material. Rapid means a small scale of material will have to replace. These four are the different methods. That means first one we are having is the dynamic consolidations. Second one we are having is the dynamic consolidation. After that, rotational dynamic consolidation compaction, rapid impact compaction. These are the examples for those. Once again I will recall all those points. Today we started from this point. What are the different constructive waste materials? So the waste materials coming from those different industries, we need to have some utilization factor. Why? Because we have to utilize it properly for upcoming generations also. Whatever the material is lying on the earth, those also belongs to upcoming or future generations, so that we need to have some proper utilization factor by using these waste materials in the part of our construction. Next one we are having these densifying methods. First of all, these densifying methods was introduced by Germans 60 years back. By using these densification methods, we need to construct a building up to 30 stories. Next one, need of this densification means first of all we need to have some different properties, hydraulic filling, and we need to use some bearing capacities of the soils. We need to improve the frictional properties lying on the soils, and compaction techniques which are used in the soils. All those are different kinds of practices used to densify the particular granular soils. And some cases we need to overcome the particular land, but by means overcome means we need to totally overchange that the whatever the land is lying on the particular area, the total soil strata has to replace with another kind of materials, due to lack of soil parameters and problems. Generally granular soils are having 10% of these fine matters. What are the different types of compactions we are using? Dynamic compaction, vibrophotation, and a compaction of the piles. Okay, these are the preventive measures before going to this compaction, what we have to take and what values we need to know. What is the dynamic compaction, what is the parameters lies in the this dynamic compaction of the, first of all we are having a crane which have the height varies from 10 meters to 40 meters, and the load varies from 6 to 172 tons. The total procedure will forming a rectangular patterns or triangular patterns. In some cases we are having to use some circular patterns. This is the load dropping phenomena in the particular case of these cranes and others. H and D. H is the dropping height, D is the drop depth we need to consolidate. And these are the figures showing that what are the places we are having to compact in a frequent intervals and frequent lines. After the compaction we are having these trends and others. In these trends we need to fill with some sandy materials. Okay, those are the points influencing depth of the compressible layers, permeability of the soil and groundwater location.